The Vorthan warship hung in space like a dark blade against the stars. Commander Zix stood on the bridge, his 4 arms crossed over his armored chest. His yellow eyes watched the blue and green planet below with hunger. Earth. The humans called it Earth. "Commander," said his tactical officer, "the human fleet is approaching, 47 vessels." Zix laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping metal. 47, we have 300 ships, the humans are fools. The Vorthan Empire had conquered 100 worlds. They had crushed species far more advanced than these humans. The war had lasted only 6 months, and now the Vorthan fleet surrounded Earth. Victory was certain. "Open a channel to all human ships," Zix ordered. The communication officer pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Commander." "Humans of Earth," Zix said, his voice filled with pride. "You have fought bravely, but your fight is over. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick. Resist, and we will burn your world until nothing remains but ash." He waited for the response. He expected begging. He expected tears and pleas for mercy. The Vorthan had heard such things many times before. Instead, a calm female voice answered. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. I have a counteroffer." Zix tilted his head. "You are in no position to offer anything human." "Actually, Commander, I am," Admiral Chen said. "We are offering you one chance to surrender. All ships that power down their weapons and lower their shields will be treated with dignity and respect according to the Geneva Conventions. Your crews will be fed, housed, and eventually returned to Vorthan space." Silence filled the Vorthan bridge. Then Zix began to laugh again. His crew joined him. The sound of Vorthan laughter was terrible, like 1,000 bones breaking at once. "You offer us surrender," Zix managed to say between laughs. 47 ships offer surrender to 300. "Yes," Admiral Chen said simply. "I offer you surrender, I offer you mercy, take it. This is your only chance." Zix's laughter stopped. Something in the human's voice troubled him. She spoke like someone who held all the cards, not someone facing certain death. "Your arrogance is amusing," Zix said carefully. "But arrogance cannot stop plasma cannons." "No," Admiral Chen agreed. "But we can. Commander Zix, I am going to send you some data. Please look at it before you make your decision." A data packet appeared on the main screen. Zix's tactical officer opened it, then went very still. His face, usually the color of stone, turned pale. "Commander," he whispered, "you need to see this." Zix walked to the screen. The data showed images, ships, human ships, but not 47 of them. The deep space sensors had failed to detect them because they were hidden in the asteroid belt behind moons in the shadow of planets. There were thousands of them. Some were massive, larger than any Vorthan dreadnought. Others were small and fast, swarm ships designed to overwhelm defenses. But it was the weapons that made Zix's blood run cold. The humans had antimatter cannons. They had gravity well generators that could crush a ship like a bug. They had weapons that the Vorthan had only theorized about, weapons that should not exist in the hands of a species that had achieved space travel only 2 centuries ago. "This is fake," Zix said. His voice was steady but his hands trembled. "Human tricks." "It is not fake," Admiral Chen said. "We have been preparing for this moment since we first detected your empire 100 years ago. We knew you would come. We knew you would see us as weak. We let you think that." Zix's tactical officer was running calculations. "Commander, if this data is accurate, their fleet has enough firepower to destroy our entire force in approximately 4 minutes and 37 seconds. "That estimate is close," Admiral Chen said. "Our own calculations suggest 4 minutes and 12 seconds, but Commander, I do not want to destroy your fleet. I want you to surrender. I want you to live. I want your crews to go home to their families someday." Zix did not understand. In 100 conquests, the Vorthan had never shown mercy to those who resisted. Why would the humans show mercy to invaders? Why, he asked, why offer us anything? If you have this power, why not simply destroy us? There was a pause. When Admiral Chen spoke again, her voice was different, softer, sad. Because we have looked into the darkness, Commander. We have seen what happens when a species loses its mercy. Humans have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. We have committed genocide. We have enslaved millions. We have burned cities and slaughtered innocents. The bridge was silent. Every Vorthan was listening. But we have also learned, Admiral Chen continued. We have learned that mercy is not weakness. We have learned that offering a hand to a fallen enemy is harder and braver than simply killing them. We have built a civilization on second chances. We believe, Commander, that everyone deserves the opportunity to change. Zix looked at his crew. They were afraid. He could see it in their eyes, smell it in their scent. They had come here expecting an easy victory. They had found something else entirely. And if we refuse, Zix asked, if we fight? Admiral Chen's voice hardened. Then we will do what we must. We will defend our home with everything we have. Every ship that fires on Earth will be destroyed. Every weapon that targets our cities will be answered with overwhelming force. We will mourn the lives lost, Commander. We will mourn even your lives, but we will not hesitate. Zix closed his eyes. He thought of his home world. He thought of his mate and his children. He thought of the empire he served, an empire built on conquest and cruelty. I need time to consult with the other commanders, he said. You have 1 hour, Admiral Chen replied. After that, we will assume you have chosen to fight. I hope you choose wisely, Commander. I truly do. The channel closed. Zix stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by his frightened crew, facing a choice that would determine the fate of 300 ships and thousands of lives. He had come to Earth expecting prey. He had found something far more dangerous and far more confusing. In all his years of conquest, no enemy had ever offered him mercy. He did not know what to do with it. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and waited. Around her, the bridge crew worked in tense silence. Everyone knew what was at stake. Do you think they will surrender? Asked her first officer, Commander James Okonkwo. Chen shook her head slowly. I don't know, James. The Vorthan have never surrendered to anyone. It is not in their culture. They see it as the ultimate shame. Then why offer it? Chen looked at the image of the Vorthan fleet on her main screen. 300 ships, each one filled with living beings. Soldiers, yes. Invaders, yes. But also people with hopes and fears and families waiting for them. Because it is the right thing to do, she said. And because if we become like them, if we kill without offering any other choice, then we have already lost. We will have won the war but lost our souls. Okonkwo nodded. He had served under Chen for 10 years. He had seen her make impossible decisions before. She always chose the harder path, the path that kept their humanity intact. If they refuse, how bad will it be? He asked quietly. Chen's face became stone. Bad. We will crush them completely. The Vorthan Empire will lose more ships today than they have lost in their entire history of conquest. It will be a massacre. Can we really destroy them in 4 minutes? Chen almost smiled. Our official estimate is 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Privately, I think we can do it in 3. We have spent a century preparing for this moment. We have weapons that would make their greatest scientists weep with confusion. She stood up and walked to the observation window. Earth hung below, beautiful and fragile and precious. But I hope they surrender, she said. I hope they take the chance we are giving them. I hope we do not have to show them the other side of humanity today. The clock counted down. 53 minutes remained. On the Vorthan command ship, chaos reigned. Zix had called an emergency council with the other fleet commanders. Their holographic images filled the war room, each one arguing louder than the last. It is a trick, shouted Commander Vax, his scales turning red with anger. The humans are trying to scare us into running. "The data is real," said Commander Nix, the oldest among them. "I have had my analysts check it 7 times. Those ships exist. Those weapons exist. We are facing a force that could annihilate us." "Then we die with honor," Vax declared. "We do not surrender. We have never surrendered. We are Vorthan." "Honor does not bring the dead back to life," Nix replied coldly. "Honor does not comfort the mates and children we leave behind." Zix listened to them argue. His mind was elsewhere. He was thinking about the human admiral's words. She had spoken of mercy as if it was something valuable, something precious. She had spoken of learning from darkness. The Vorthan had darkness too. Zix had seen it. He had participated in it. He had watched entire cities burn. He had heard the screams of the conquered. He had told himself it was necessary, that it was the Vorthan way. But was it? "Commander Zix," said Vax, "you are the highest-ranking officer here. What is your decision?" Zix looked at the faces around him. These were warriors, killers, conquerors, but they were also his brothers, his family. "I want to hear from the other commanders," Zix said. "Not arguing. I want each of you to tell me honestly, do you want to die today?" Silence fell. It was a question no Vorthan was supposed to ask. Death in battle was supposed to be glorious, desirable. Commander Nix spoke first. "No, I want to see my home again. I want to hold my children." One by one, the others admitted the same thing. Even Vax eventually lowered his head. "I do not want to die," Vax said quietly, "but the shame of surrender." "What is more shameful?" Zix asked. "Losing a battle we cannot win, or throwing away thousands of lives for nothing but pride?" He made his decision. "We will contact the humans," Zix said. "We will accept their offer. We will surrender." The war room exploded with protests. Zix raised his 4 hands. "Silence. I have made my choice, but I will not force any ship to follow me. Those who wish to fight may fight. Those who wish to surrender may surrender. Every commander must make their own decision." He turned and left the war room. Behind him, 300 commanders began the hardest discussion of their lives. 20 minutes remained. Admiral Chen watched the clock tick down. 15 minutes, 14, 13. "Any response from the Vorthan?" she asked. "Nothing yet, Admiral," her communications officer replied. Chen's hands tightened on her armrests. She had given them a chance. She had opened the door to peace, but she could not force them to walk through it. "All ships prepare for combat," she ordered. "Load antimatter torpedoes. Activate gravity well generators. Prime all kinetic impactors." Across the fleet, thousands of weapon systems came online. The hidden ships emerged from their hiding places. The human fleet revealed its true size and power for the first time. On sensors across the Vorthan fleet, panic spread. The human force was even larger than the data had suggested. There were not just thousands of ships. There were tens of thousands. An armada built over a century, hidden in the dark, waiting. 7 minutes remained. Chen's communications officer suddenly sat up straight. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the Vorthan fleet." On screen, Chen said. Commander Zix appeared. He looked tired, defeated, but also somehow relieved. "Admiral Chen," he said, "I am authorized to speak for 263 Vorthan warships. We accept your terms of surrender. We are powering down our weapons and lowering our shields." Chen felt something loosen in her chest. Relief, hope, pride. "And the remaining 37 ships?" she asked. Zix's face darkened. "Commander Vax and his followers have chosen to fight. They believe death in battle is preferable to surrender. I could not convince them otherwise." Chen closed her eyes for a moment. 37 ships, thousands of lives, lost because of pride. "Commander Zix, please move your surrendering vessels to the coordinates I am sending you. They will be outside the combat zone. Your crews will be safe." "Admiral," Zix said, "what will happen to those who chose to fight?" Chen met his eyes through the screen. They will be destroyed, quickly, completely. We will not toy with them or make them suffer, but we will not allow a single weapon to reach our planet. I understand, Zix paused. Admiral, I must ask you something. Go ahead. The mercy you showed us today, the chance you gave us, was it real or was it strategy? Chen smiled sadly. Both. We have learned that mercy creates allies where cruelty creates enemies. Many of the species in our alliance were once our adversaries. They surrendered, we treated them well, and now they stand with us. But Commander, the mercy was also real. I did not want to kill your people. I do not want to kill Commander Vax and his people. I wish they had chosen differently. Zix nodded slowly. Perhaps someday I will understand your species. Today is not that day, but I am grateful. The channel closed. On Chen's screen, she watched as 263 Vorthan ships began to move away from Earth, their weapons silent, their shields down. Surrendered. 37 ships remained in attack formation. Their weapons were charging. Admiral, Commander Okonkwo said, Vax's group is preparing to fire. Chen's face became hard as stone. Mercy had been offered. Mercy had been refused. All ships, she said, her voice cold and clear, destroy them. The human fleet opened fire. Commander Vax stood on his bridge, watching the human fleet advance. He was not afraid. He was Vorthan. He would die as his ancestors had died, in battle against the enemy. All weapons target the largest human ship, he ordered. We will take at least one of them with us. His crew obeyed. Plasma cannons charged, torpedoes loaded, shields strengthened. Then the human weapons hit. Vax had never seen anything like it. Beams of pure white energy sliced through his shields as if they were made of paper. Torpedoes that moved faster than light struck his hull before his sensors could even track them. Gravity wells appeared around his ships, crushing them into spheres of twisted metal. In the first second, 10 ships were gone. In the second, 15 more. By the third second, only Vax's flagship remained. Every other ship in his group had been destroyed. Not damaged, destroyed. There was nothing left but debris. Vax stared at his screens in disbelief. His weapons had not even fired. His shields had lasted less than a heartbeat. The humans had erased his entire force in the time it took to blink. Commander, his tactical officer whispered, we are being targeted. Vax looked at the main screen. A single human ship had broken from the formation. It was small, barely a frigate. Its weapons were pointed directly at him. A transmission came through, Admiral Chen's voice. Commander Vax, you have seen what we can do. Your fleet is gone, you alone remain. I am offering you one last chance to surrender. Power down your weapons, lower your shields, live. Vax's hand trembled over the firing controls. He could still fight. He could still die with honor. But what honor was there in dying for nothing? What glory was there in being erased like dust in a storm? He thought of his mate. He thought of his son, only 3 years old, who did not yet know that his father was a warrior. He thought of all the things he would never see, never do, never say. Vax began. His first officer suddenly grabbed the firing controls. Die, human scum, he screamed and pressed the button. The plasma cannon fired once. The small human frigate dodged easily, the shot missing by kilometers. Then the frigate returned fire. Vax had a single moment to feel the heat before his ship, and everyone on it ceased to exist. Admiral Chen watched the final Vorthan ship disappear from her screens. The battle had lasted 3 minutes and 47 seconds, 37 ships destroyed, 25 seconds faster than her best estimate. She felt no joy, no triumph, only a deep, heavy sadness. Combat complete, Commander Okonkwo reported quietly. All hostile vessels eliminated. Chen nodded. Send recovery teams to search for escape pods. There may be survivors. Admiral Okonkwo looked surprised. They tried to destroy us. They did, and they failed. But if any of them escape their ships before destruction, they deserve the chance to live. They deserve the same mercy we offered before the battle." Okonkwo stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Yes, Admiral, I will send the teams." Chen turned to look at Earth, her home. The planet she had sworn to protect. It was safe. Her people were safe. But at what cost? She thought of the families on the Vorthan home world who would never see their loved ones again. She thought of the children who would grow up without parents. She thought of the mates who would wait forever for ships that would never return. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "Commander Zix is requesting to speak with you." Chen straightened in her chair. "Put him through." Zix appeared on screen. His face was difficult to read, but Chen thought she saw something like awe in his yellow eyes. "Admiral," he said, "I watched the battle. My sensors recorded everything." "I am sorry you had to see it," Chen said honestly. "I am not." Zix's voice was strange, almost wondering. "I have never seen such power, such precision, such restraint." "Restraint? You could have destroyed my ships too. You could have killed us all and claimed we refused surrender. No one would have questioned you, but you did not. You protected us during the battle. Your ships formed a barrier between us and Vax's group." Chen nodded. "You surrendered, you accepted our mercy. You were no longer our enemies. You were under our protection." Zix was silent for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. It was softer, humbler. "Admiral Chen, I have conquered many worlds. I have killed many enemies. I believed I understood war. I believed I understood power." He shook his head. "I understood nothing. Today you have shown me something I never knew existed. Strength that chooses mercy. Power that protects instead of destroys. Warriors who weep for fallen enemies." He straightened, all four arms folding across his chest in what Chen recognized as a gesture of deep respect. "When I return to my people, I will tell them what I witnessed here. I will tell them about the humans who could have destroyed us but chose to spare us. I will tell them about Admiral Sarah Chen, who offered mercy to her enemies and protection to those who accepted it." Chen felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away. "I hope your people listen, Commander." "Some will, some will not." Zix's mouth curved in something that might have been a smile. "But you have planted a seed today, Admiral. Whether it grows or not, only time will tell." The channel closed. Chen sat in her chair, surrounded by her crew, victorious but not celebrating. They had won. Humanity had won. But the true victory was not the ships destroyed or the enemies defeated. The true victory was the ships that had surrendered, the enemies who might become friends, the seeds of mercy planted in the soil of war. The clock on her console showed the time. Less than 4 minutes had passed since the first shot was fired. In less than 4 minutes, humanity had shown both faces of its nature: devastating power and gentle mercy, the iron fist and the open hand. It was, Chen thought, the most human thing possible. In the weeks that followed, the surrendered Vorthan became the most unusual prisoners of war in human history. They were not locked in cells or forced to labor. They were housed in comfortable facilities on Mars, fed well, given medical care, and treated with respect. At first, the Vorthan did not know what to make of this treatment. In their culture, prisoners were slaves at best, food at worst. The idea that an enemy would provide them with comfortable beds and 3 meals a day was incomprehensible. Commander Zix requested a meeting with Admiral Chen. She flew to Mars to speak with him in person. They sat across from each other in a simple room with a table and 2 chairs. No guards, no weapons, just 2 commanders from opposing species trying to understand each other. "I have questions," Zix said. "I expected you would. Why do you treat us this way? We came to destroy your world. We would have killed billions of your people without mercy. Why do you show us kindness?" Chen thought carefully before answering. "Commander, do you know what we call this place, where we are sitting right now?" Zix shook his head. It is called Mars Reconciliation Center. We built it 50 years ago after the Kithran War. The Kithrani attacked us much as you did. They believed we were weak. They were wrong. What happened to them? We defeated them, completely. Their fleet was destroyed, their invasion stopped. But many of them surrendered just as you did. We brought them here to this same facility. We treated them the same way we are treating you. Zix's eyes narrowed, and then, after 2 years, we released them. We sent them home to their people. Many of them did not want to leave. They had come to appreciate human culture, human values. Some of them chose to stay and become citizens of Earth. Chen leaned forward. Do you know what happened next, Commander? The Kithrani who returned home told their people what they had experienced. They told them about human mercy, about human kindness, about a species that could destroy them but chose not to. I imagine the Kithrani leaders did not believe them. At first, no, but the stories spread. More Kithrani became curious. Trade missions were established. Cultural exchanges began. And now, Commander, the Kithrani are our closest allies. Their ships fight alongside ours. Their people live among us in peace. Chen sat back. That is why we show you kindness. Not because we are naive. Not because we are weak. But because we have learned that mercy is the strongest weapon of all. It turns enemies into friends. It breaks the cycle of violence that destroys civilizations. Zix was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I do not know if my people can change. We have been conquerors for 1,000 years. It is all we know. 1,000 years is a long time, Chen agreed. But Commander, humans were murderers and slavers for most of our history. We burned each other with fire and nuclear weapons. We committed atrocities that would make even the Vorthan hesitate. And yet we changed. We learned. We grew. She reached across the table and placed her hand near his, not touching but close. If we could change, anyone can change. It is not easy, it is not quick, but it is possible. Zix looked at her hand. In Vorthan culture, such a gesture would be either a threat or an offer of alliance. He was not sure which one this was. Perhaps he thought it was both. 3 months after the battle, the first group of Vorthan prisoners was released. They were given transport ships and supplies for their journey home. Many of them had formed friendships with their human guards. Some had learned to play human games, eat human food, watch human entertainment. Commander Zix was among the last to leave. Before he departed, he met with Admiral Chen one final time. I have decided something, he told her. What is that? When I return to the Empire, I will speak to the High Council. I will tell them everything I have witnessed. I will recommend that they end the war and seek peace with humanity. Chen's heart lifted. Do you think they will listen? Some will not. There will be those who call me a coward and a traitor. There may even be those who try to kill me. Zix's mouth curved in that strange almost smile. But seeds must be planted, Admiral. You taught me that. He extended all 4 of his arms toward her. It was the highest Vorthan gesture of respect, reserved for those one considered equals or superiors. Chen extended her 2 arms in return, and they clasped hands across the gap between their species. I have one request, Zix said. Name it. If the war does not end, if my people are foolish enough to attack Earth again, I ask that you give them the same choice you gave us, mercy or destruction. Let them choose. Chen nodded. I promise we will always offer mercy first. It is who we are. Zix released her hands and stepped back. Then I will see you again, Admiral, either as a friend visiting in peace or as a commander pleading for my people's lives. I hope it is the former. He turned and walked to his ship. Chen watched him go, feeling something she had not expected to feel, hope. The war was not over. The Vorthan Empire was vast, and there were many who would want revenge for the defeat at Earth. More battles would come. More difficult choices would have to be made. But something had changed. A crack had formed in the wall of hate and fear that separated humanity from its enemies. Through that crack, a small light was shining. Chen turned and walked back to her own ship. There was work to do, defenses to strengthen, alliances to build, but also seeds to plant, mercy to show, enemies to transform into friends. It was the human way. It was, she believed, the only way that truly led anywhere worth going. 1 year later, Admiral Sarah Chen received an unexpected communication. It came from Vorthen space, encrypted with codes that only the highest-ranking officials could use. The message was from Commander Zix. He had kept his word. He had spoken to the High Council. He had planted his seeds. And some of them had grown. The message was simple. Admiral Chen, the Vorthen High Council has voted to end hostilities with Earth. A diplomatic mission will arrive in your system in 30 days to negotiate a formal peace treaty. I have been appointed to lead this mission. I look forward to seeing you again, my friend. And this time I come not as a conqueror but as a neighbor. Chen read the message 3 times. Then she began to laugh. It was not her usual reserved laugh, but a full, joyous sound that startled her bridge crew. Admiral, Commander Okonkwo asked, "Is everything all right?" Chen showed him the message. She watched his face transform from confusion to understanding to pure, radiant joy. "Contact Earth Command," Chen ordered, still smiling. "Tell them to prepare a welcome for our guests, the best welcome we can provide. Spare no expense." She looked out at the stars, at the vast darkness that separated Earth from the Vorthen home world. That darkness no longer seemed quite so threatening. "And Commander, make sure there is plenty of food. I have learned that diplomacy works best on a full stomach." Okonkwo grinned. "Yes, Admiral, I will make sure we have enough for all 4 of their stomachs." The human fleet continued its patrol, weapons ready, shields strong. They were not naive. They knew that peace was fragile, that old enemies could become new threats, that vigilance was always necessary. But they also knew something else, something that had been proven again and again throughout human history. Mercy was not weakness, it was strength. Compassion was not surrender, it was victory. And sometimes, the most powerful weapon of all was an open hand, offered to a fallen enemy. Humanity had shown both faces of its nature in the battle for Earth, devastating destruction and gentle mercy, the power to crush and the choice not to. It was, perhaps, the most human thing possible. And it had changed the galaxy forever. 5 years after the peace treaty was signed, a new ship was launched from the joint human-Vorthen shipyards orbiting Mars. It was the first vessel ever built by the 2 species working together. Its design combined human elegance with Vorthen power. Its crew was mixed, humans and Vorthen serving side by side. Admiral Sarah Chen, now retired from active duty, attended the launch ceremony. Beside her stood Ambassador Zix, formerly commander, now the Vorthen representative to the United Species Alliance. "Quite a ship," Chen said, watching the sleek vessel rise from the dock. "Indeed," Zix agreed, "a symbol of what we can achieve together. I never thought I would see this day. 5 years ago, we were trying to kill each other." Zix made a sound that humans had learned was Vorthen laughter. 5 years ago, you were trying to teach me mercy. I was a poor student. You learned well enough." They watched in comfortable silence as the ship accelerated away, heading for the outer planets on its maiden voyage. Around them, a crowd of humans and Vorthen cheered together. "I have been thinking," Zix said eventually. "About what?" "About the day we met, the choice you offered us, mercy or destruction." He turned to face her. "You could have destroyed us all, it would have been easier, safer. No risk of peace treaties failing, no chance of betrayal, just victory, clean and simple." "Perhaps. Why did you choose differently?" Chen considered the question. She had been asked it many times over the years, by historians and philosophers and curious children. Her answer was always slightly different. Today, she decided to tell the truth. Because I was afraid. Zix's eyes widened. Afraid of what? Of becoming like you. Of becoming like the worst parts of human history. Of winning the war but losing ourselves. She smiled sadly. I had to believe we were better than that. I had to believe we could show mercy even when destruction was easier. Because if we could not, then what were we fighting for? Zix nodded slowly. You fought for the future, not just for survival but for the kind of future worth living in. Yes, and look where it brought us. Chen gestured at the crowd around them, the mixed species, the joint ship, the peace that had once seemed impossible. Was it worth it? You tell me, Admiral, was it worth the risk? Chen watched a human child and a Vorthan child playing together near the viewing platform. They were laughing, chasing each other, completely unaware that their parent species had once been mortal enemies. Yes, she said, it was worth it. The ship disappeared into the distance, carrying its mixed crew toward new horizons. Behind it, on a transformed Mars, two old enemies stood together as friends. And somewhere in the cosmos, seeds of mercy continued to grow. This is the lesson humanity taught the galaxy. That power without compassion is just destruction, and victory without mercy is just another form of defeat. This is the story they told their children, and their children's children, across 1,000 worlds. The story of the day humanity showed its true nature, offering open hands to those who surrendered and iron fists to those who would not. This is the legacy they left behind. An alliance built not on conquest or fear, but on the simple, powerful idea that enemies can become friends, that killers can become healers, that even in the darkest war, mercy is always possible. Humanity, for all its flaws and failures, had found something worth fighting for, something worth dying for, and something worth living for. The stars watched and remembered, and hope spread through the darkness like light.